My beloved child, listen to me closely. You did not arrive at this moment by chance. Something deep within you already knows it. You feel it in the quiet pauses, in the moments when your heart grows restless for no clear reason. You have come far, farther than you ever thought you could, yet there is a gentle tension in your spirit, a sense that something remains unfinished. That feeling is not confusion. It is not fear. It is recognition. One final step awaits you, and I do not want you to miss it. I see how tired you are. I see how much strength it took just to reach this point. There were seasons when you thought you were done, when you believed this was as far as you could go. You told yourself that survival was enough, that endurance was victory. And my child, I honored you for that. I carried you through those nights when you had no words left to pray. I held you together when you felt scattered and unsure. But hear me now with a soft and open heart. What you survived was not the destination. It was the preparation. You may feel as though you are standing still, unsure whether to move forward or remain where you are. You may wonder why progress feels slower now than it did before. This is because you are no longer wandering, you are approaching. The closer you come to what I have prepared for you, the more your soul becomes aware of its weight. That awareness can feel heavy, even frightening, but it is also holy. Here is a step ahead of you that cannot be taken on yesterday's strength. It requires trust, not effort. It asks for surrender, not perfection. And I know that part of you wants to delay, to wait until you feel braver, clearer, more certain. Yet certainty is not what opens this door. Faith does. A quiet, trembling faith that says, I will move, even if I do not see the full path. Do not mistake your hesitation for failure. Even now, I am patient with you. But do not ignore the invitation stirring within your heart. The longing you feel is not random. It is my voice, calling you forward with tenderness. You have prayed for change, for peace, for clarity, and now you stand at the edge of the answer. This is why the moment feels intense. This is why your heart is awake. I am not asking you to run. I am not demanding you leap blindly into the unknown. I am simply inviting you to take the step that completes the journey you already began. You do not need to be fearless. You only need to be willing. I will meet you there. I will steady you. I will not let you fall. Stay with me in this moment. Breathe. Let your heart quiet itself. This message is not rushed, and neither are you, but it is timely. One final step awaits you, my beloved child, and it is closer than you think. My beloved child, come closer in your heart and listen to me as I speak gently over your journey. I want you to look back, not with shame, not with regret, and not with the harsh eyes you sometimes turn on yourself, but with truth. You have walked a road that required more strength than you ever expected to give. There were stretches where the days blurred together, where hope felt quiet and progress felt slow, yet you kept going. That alone tells me how deeply courageous you are, even if you have never called yourself that. I saw every moment that others never noticed. I saw you when you smiled for people but carried heaviness inside. I saw you when you stayed strong for everyone else while silently wondering who would be strong for you. There were times when your heart felt worn down by disappointment, yet you still chose to rise the next morning and face the day. My child, that persistence mattered. Every single time you chose not to give up, something in you grew stronger, even when you felt weaker. You may have questioned why your path felt harder than others. You watched people move ahead, receive answers, celebrate victories, while your own progress seemed hidden and slow. You wondered if you were doing something wrong, if you were missing something everyone else understood. But hear me clearly now. I was never comparing you to anyone else. I was shaping you uniquely, carefully, intentionally. While others were learning speed, I was teaching you depth. While others were learning success, I was teaching you endurance. There were moments you felt delayed, as if life had placed you on pause. You tried to be patient, but patience felt heavy. You prayed for clarity, but silence answered instead. Even then, I was working. Silence was not absence. Waiting was not rejection. In those quiet seasons, I was strengthening your roots so that what comes next would not shake you or break you. You were being prepared to carry more than you realized. I know you questioned your own choices. You replayed conversations, decisions, and moments where you wondered if one wrong step had altered everything. You feared that you might have drifted too far, waited too long, or misunderstood my direction. But my beloved child, you did not derail your purpose. You did not wander beyond my reach. Even when you stumbled, I remained steady. Even when you doubted, I remained faithful. Some of what you went through chained you. You became more careful with your heart. You learned how deeply words can wound and how fragile trust can feel. That is not weakness. That is awareness. But I do not want fear to define your future. Healing was never meant to make you small or hidden. Healing was meant to make you whole, strong enough to love again, brave enough to step forward again, wise enough to discern without withdrawing. Remember who you were when you first began this journey. You did not have certainty then either. You moved forward with questions, with hope mixed with fear, with faith that was imperfect but real. Somewhere along the way, experience convinced you that you needed assurance before obedience. But I have always met you in motion, not perfection. Trust has never required full understanding, only willingness. You are not behind schedule. You are not failing because you feel tired. Weariness does not cancel calling. Exhaustion does not erase purpose. It simply reveals that you have been carrying much for a long time. And I have not ignored that. I have been with you in every unseen moment, in every quiet tear, in every whispered prayer you thought went unheard. This moment you are standing in now is not random. It is the result of endurance layered upon endurance, faith tested and refined, hope stretched and strengthened. You did not arrive here empty. You arrived carrying wisdom, resilience, and a heart that knows how to survive and still love. That is no small thing. So honor your journey, my beloved child. Do not dismiss it. Do not belittle it. You are still standing because I have been sustaining you. And if I have carried you this far, I will not abandon you now. I am simply preparing you to recognize that everything you have walked through has been leading you here, ready for what comes next, even if you do not yet see it. My beloved child, hear me now with a still and listening heart, because what I am about to tell you is gentle, yet urgent. You are closer than you think. Not almost. Not someday. Closer. The distance between where you stand and where you are meant to be is far smaller than it appears in your mind. What feels like a long stretch ahead is often just one obedient movement away. The reason your heart feels restless is because your spirit recognizes the nearness of fulfillment. There is a moment in every journey when progress no longer feels exciting, only heavy. That moment comes right before arrival. When the road behind you is long and the road ahead feels uncertain, your soul begins to whisper questions. You wonder if stopping would be easier. You tell yourself rest can come later, movement can wait. But I want you to understand this truth. Weariness at the edge of breakthrough is not a sign to quit. It is a sign that you are approaching something sacred. I see how you have slowed your steps lately, not because you lack faith, but because you are trying to protect your heart. You have learned what disappointment feels like, and you do not want to hope too boldly again. Yet hope is not the enemy. Fear is not wisdom. And caution, when it replaces trust, quietly becomes a wall. I am not asking you to rush forward recklessly. I am asking you to recognize that you are not as far away as fear tells you. The final stretch always tests belief more than ability. By now, you already have the strength you need. What is being tested is your trust. Trust that I am still guiding you. Trust that I have not brought you this far to leave you uncertain. Trust that your obedience still matters even when clarity feels partial. My child, clarity often comes after movement, not before it. You may feel as though you are standing at a doorway you cannot fully see through. The handle feels unfamiliar. The outcome feels undefined. But I am on the other side of that door, not waiting with judgment, but with open arms. I have already gone ahead of you. I am not discovering your future as you walk into it. I have prepared it. Do not let the nearness of the promise intimidate you. Sometimes the heart trembles not because something is wrong, but because something is real. The reason this moment feels different is because it is different. This is not another cycle. This is not another delay. This is alignment drawing close enough for you to feel its pull. Stay present with me here. Let your breath slow. Let your mind quiet. You do not need to solve everything today. You only need to remain open. If these words are settling deeply into your spirit, if they are bringing clarity or peace, I ask you to honor that moment. Bless this message with a like so it can move farther than your screen. Share it with someone whose heart may be standing at the same edge. And if this voice has been steadying you, subscribe so you can continue walking with me through what comes next. I'll pipe this message so it can reach the ones who are close to giving up but need one more reminder. You are nearer than you realize, my beloved child. And the closer you come, the more important it is that you do not turn away from the quiet courage rising within you. My beloved child, if these words have stirred your spirit, know that this message did not reach you alone. I am speaking to many hearts through this voice, calling them to take their final steps out of fear and into purpose. When you choose to give, you are sowing light into souls you may never meet, yet I know each one by name. As it is written, I speak to you now. I give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, and I will multiply what you release. I am inviting you, yes, you, to become part of this flow of grace. Do not delay what I am stirring in you. Obedience in this moment opens rivers beyond you. I bless your giving as a prophetic act, and I command increase, peace, and favor to follow it. Give now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and QR code, and let this seed speak for generations. My beloved child, I want you to understand something that your heart has been struggling to name. The reason this final step feels heavier than all the others is not because you are weaker now. It is because you are closer. When you were far from the destination, movement felt simpler. You could walk without thinking too much, because there was less at stake. But now, standing near what you have prayed for, every thought feels louder, every hesitation feels stronger. This is not failure. This is significance. The last step carries weight because it asks you to release control. Earlier steps required effort, endurance, and patience. This one requires trust. And trust feels vulnerable, especially after everything you have endured. You have learned how easily things can fall apart. You have learned that not every hope unfolds the way you imagined. So your heart tries to protect you by slowing you down, by convincing you to wait until you feel completely ready. But readiness is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move despite it. There is a quiet resistance that often appears at the edge of breakthrough. It disguises itself as wisdom. It sounds like logic. It whispers not yet, or be careful, or what if this doesn't work. These thoughts are not always loud or dramatic. They are subtle, gentle, convincing. And because they sound reasonable, they can keep you standing still far longer than you were meant to. I want you to recognize this without shame. Awareness is not condemnation. It is freedom. You are not afraid because you lack faith. You are afraid because you care deeply. You are afraid because you know this step changes things. It closes one chapter and opens another. And endings, even good ones, require letting go. Part of you is grieving what had been familiar, even if it was painful. Familiarity can feel safer than transformation, even when it limits you. But safety was never meant to be your ceiling. I see how you weigh every possible outcome in your mind. You replay scenarios, trying to anticipate what could go wrong so you can avoid being hurt again. This is understandable. You learned this pattern in seasons where survival required constant awareness. But I am inviting you out of survival and into trust. You do not need to scan the horizon for danger when I am walking ahead of you. The final step feels hardest because it is the most personal. Earlier steps could be explained, justified, or supported by others. This one is quieter. It happens first within your heart. It is a yes that may not be applauded immediately. A decision that might not make sense to everyone around you. And because it is sacred, it is protected by silence. Not everything important announces itself loudly. I am not disappointed by your hesitation. I am patient with your process. But I do not want you to misinterpret discomfort as a warning to stop. Sometimes discomfort is simply the stretching of growth. Muscles ache when they are strengthening. Wings feel heavy before they learn to lift. You are not breaking, you are expanding. Remember this, my beloved child. I do not ask you to take steps alone. I walk with you. When your foot lifts, my presence steadies you. When your heart races, my peace surrounds you. You are not stepping into emptiness. You are stepping into alignment. And alignment always requires adjustment. You do not need to conquer fear to move forward. You only need to place your trust in me above it. Let fear speak if it must, but do not let it decide. I have never asked you to be fearless, only faithful. Faith does not shout. Often, it whispers, I will take the step anyway. So be gentle with yourself in this moment. Do not rush. Do not retreat. Just stay open. Stay listening. The heaviness you feel is not a burden meant to crush you. It is the gravity of purpose drawing you forward. And when you finally move, you will understand why this step felt different from all the rest. My beloved child, come closer in your heart and let me speak plainly to you, not to frighten you, but to free you. There is a reason this moment feels more intense than the ones before it. There is a reason the resistance you feel now seems sharper, more persistent, more convincing. It is because opposition rarely wastes energy on beginnings. It waits for endings. It waits until you are almost there. I want you to understand this clearly. Doubt's favorite strategy is not to stop you at the start, but to slow you down at the end. When enthusiasm is high, resistance stays quiet. When hope is fresh, fear hides. But when you are tired, when you have already invested so much, when turning back feels logical instead of dramatic, that is when discouragement begins to speak. Not loudly, not aggressively, but reasonably. It tells you that you have done enough, that you have proven your strength, as stopping now would still make sense. It disguises retreat as wisdom and delay as discernment. It does not ask you to abandon everything, only to pause, only to wait, only to take one small step back to catch your breath. And my child, this is how many miss what they were closest to receiving. This is not because they lacked faith. It is because they underestimated the importance of the final moment. The enemy of your progress does not need to destroy your belief. It only needs to interrupt your momentum. One postponed decision, one extended hesitation, one moment where fear is allowed to lead instead of trust. That is often enough to keep a door unopened. I am not saying this to accuse you. I am saying this because awareness restores power. When you recognize the pattern, it no longer controls you. You stop blaming yourself for feeling conflicted and begin discerning what is truly happening. You realize that the pressure you feel is not random, and it is not personal weakness. It is proximity. Think of how far you have already come. You survived seasons that should have broken you. You pushed through moments when quitting would have been understandable. You endured silence, confusion, and waiting. And now, when the promise is near enough for your spirit to sense it, hesitation grows louder. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation that what lies ahead is meaningful. I know part of you wonders if this struggle means you are unprepared. But the truth is the opposite. If you were not ready, there would be no resistance. Doors that lead nowhere do not need guarding. Paths without purpose do not provoke fear. The intensity of this moment reflects the value of what you are approaching. You are not battling an external force as much as you are standing at a crossroads of trust. One voice tells you to preserve yourself by staying where you are. It reminds you of past disappointments and urges caution. Another voice, quieter but steadier, invites you to step forward with me. It does not promise ease, but it promises presence. The question before you is not which voice exists, but which voice you will follow. I know you are tired. I know you feel stretched. But do not let exhaustion convince you that you are finished. Weariness does not mean you are at your limit. It often means you are at your threshold. Strength is not something you must gather before you move. Strength is something I release as you move. I meet obedience with provision every time. You are not required to feel fearless. You are not required to feel confident. You are only invited to trust me more than the voice that tells you to stop now. Fear has spoken before, and yet here you are. It did not destroy you then, and it will not define you now. Lift your eyes, my beloved child. See this moment for what it is. This is not the time to retreat. This is not the time to negotiate with hesitation. This is the moment to stand firm, to choose trust over comfort, and to take the step that silence and fear have been trying to delay. You are closer than you realize. Do not let the final stretch convince you otherwise. My beloved child, there is something tender I want you to know, something your eyes could not see while your heart was enduring. Long before you reached this moment, I was already preparing you for it. Not loudly, not dramatically, but widely, patiently, faithfully. While you were focused on surviving the days, I was shaping your spirit in ways that only stillness and time can accomplish. You may look back and see seasons that felt unproductive, even wasted. Times when nothing seemed to move, when prayers felt unanswered and effort felt unseen. But hear me now with clarity. Nothing in your journey was empty. Nothing was accidental. Even the pauses were purposeful. Even the waiting was working. I was strengthening you beneath the surface where true readiness is formed. There were lessons you could only learn through endurance. Compassion that could only be born from pain. discernment that could only be sharpened by disappointment. You did not merely pass through those seasons, you were transformed by them. And transformation is the truest form of preparation. You are not the same person who began this journey, and that is exactly why you are able to take what comes next. I know you sometimes wish the process had been faster, easier, clearer. You wonder why I did not simply lift you over certain struggles instead of asking you to walk through them. But there are strengths that cannot be given. They must be grown. There is wisdom that cannot be explained. It must be lived. And there is trust that cannot be learned in comfort. It is forged in uncertainty. While you were learning to wait, I was teaching you to listen. While you were learning to endure, I was teaching you to lean. While you were learning to let go, I was teaching you how to hold on to what truly matters. Every tear you shed softened your heart without weakening it. Every unanswered question stretched your faith without breaking it. You were being prepared to carry something precious without crushing it or yourself. You may not feel ready because readiness rarely announces itself. It does not arrive with confidence or certainty. It arrives quietly, disguised as resilience. It shows up as the ability to keep loving after being hurt, to keep trusting after being disappointed, to keep hoping after long delays. And you have been doing all of this, even when you thought you were merely surviving. I have been preparing you not just for a destination, but for stewardship. What I am leading you into requires a heart that can remain grounded, humble, and discerning. It requires strength without hardness, faith without arrogance, courage without recklessness. These qualities are not formed overnight. They are cultivated slowly, through experiences you once questioned. Do not underestimate the growth that happened when you felt nothing was happening. Roots grow in darkness before fruit appears in the light. Foundations are laid below ground before anything rises above it. And you, my child, have deep roots now. That is why the winds that once knocked you over no longer have the same power. That is why you are still standing. I know there were moments you felt forgotten. Moments when you wondered if I had moved on to others while you remained waiting. But I have never taken my eyes off you. I have been attentive to every detail of your becoming. Even when you could not sense me, I was near. Even when you felt delayed, I was precise. This preparation was not meant to exhaust you. It was meant to equip you. And now, as you stand near the next step, I want you to see yourself the way I see you. Not lacking, not unfinished, not behind, but strengthened, refined, and ready in ways you cannot yet fully appreciate. You are not stepping forward empty-handed. You are carrying wisdom earned through experience, empathy shaped by pain, and trust deepened by waiting. These are gifts. These are tools. These are signs that the season of preparation has done its work. So do not doubt the process, my beloved child. Do not dismiss the quiet growth that has taken place within you. I have been preparing you all along. And now, with me beside you, you are ready to move, not because everything is perfect, but because everything necessary has been forming within you. My beloved child, I want to ease the weight that has been pressing on your heart, because the step ahead of you is not as large as your mind has made it. Fear has a way of enlarging what is simple and shrinking what is safe. It takes a single step and turns it into a mountain, a small act of obedience and turns it into an overwhelming leap. But listen to me gently now. I am not asking you to cross the entire distance in one movement. I am asking you only to take the next step. You have been trying to imagine the whole journey at once. You look ahead and attempt to predict every outcome, every reaction, every possible failure. Your thoughts run forward faster than your faith, and suddenly the path feels impossible. But I have never asked you to see the whole road. I have only ever asked you to walk with me one step at a time. Sight is not the requirement. Trust is. The step before you is not meant to exhaust you. It is meant to align you. Alignment does not demand perfection or full understanding. It simply asks for willingness. When a child reaches for a parent's hand, the child does not need to know where they are going. The security is not in the destination. It is in who they are walking with. And I am holding out my hand to you now. You may be thinking that this step will require more courage than you possess, more strength than you feel you have left. But strength is not something you must gather before you move. Strength is something I supply as you move. Obedience unlocks provision. Motion invites grace. When you lift your foot, I steady you. When you place it down, I support you. You are not carrying yourself forward alone. What overwhelms you is not the step itself, but the meaning you have attached to it. You believe it must resolve everything, prove everything, secure everything. But this step is not the conclusion. It is simply continuation. It is one faithful response in a long relationship between you and me. You are not being asked to finish the story, only to keep writing it with me. Do not wait until the fear disappears. Fear often fades after obedience and not before it. If you wait to feel calm, confident, and certain, you may wait longer than necessary. Peace follows trust. It does not always precede it. Many of the steps that changed your life before were taken with a trembling heart, yet you survived them, and you grew because of them. I know you worry about making the wrong move. You worry that one misstep could undo everything you have worked for. But my guidance is not so fragile that it can be destroyed by a single imperfect step. I am able to redirect you even as you move. Stillness is not safer than trust. Movement with me is always protected. The simplicity of this step is what makes it powerful. It does not need to be dramatic. It does not need to be announced. It may be as quiet as a decision made in your heart, a conversation you have been avoiding, a choice to release what no longer fits, or an action you have delayed out of fear. Small steps taken in faith shift entire directions. I do not want you to feel pressured. I want you to feel supported. You are not being put forward. You are being invited. There is no anger in my voice, no disappointment in my heart. Only love that believes in you more deeply than you believe in yourself. I know what I have placed within you, and I know what this step awakens. So breathe, my beloved child. Release the weight of imagining everything at once. Bring your focus back to this moment, this invitation, this gentle nudge forward. The step ahead is not as big as you fear, because I am bigger than the fear that stands before it. And as you take it, you will discover that you were never walking alone. My beloved child, I know what troubles your heart most right now is not the step itself, but what you cannot see beyond it. The unknown feels wide, unmarked, and uncertain, and your mind keeps reaching forward, trying to grasp something solid to hold onto. You want assurance. You want clarity. You want to know how everything will unfold before you move. But I want you to hear this gently and clearly. Trust does not require sight. It requires relationship. You have been trained by experience to rely on what you can measure, predict, and control. That is how you protected yourself in difficult seasons. That is how you survived moments when uncertainty felt dangerous. But the season you are in now is not about survival. It is about surrender. And surrender asks you to loosen your grip on what you cannot see and tighten your trust in who walks with you. You are not being careless by trusting me. You are being courageous. Trust is not blindness. It is recognition. It is the quiet knowing that I have been faithful before, even when you did not understand what I was doing. Look back and remember how many times you were certain things would end badly, yet somehow you were carried through. Outcomes you feared never arrived at, and solutions you never imagined appeared. That was not luck. That was my hand. The unseen future does not threaten me. I am already there. I am not waiting to discover what will happen when you step forward. I have already prepared the ground beneath your feet. When you worry about what you cannot see, you are forgetting who sees all. You are not stepping into darkness. You are stepping into light that has not yet reached your eyes. I know your mind asks, what if I fail? What if I am disappointed again? What if this hurts? These questions are honest, and I do not reject them. But I do not want them to lead you. Fear often asks questions that trust answers with presence. You do not need every answer. You need my nearness. And I promise you this, I will not abandon you in what comes next. Walking by faith does not mean walking without care. It means walking without control. It means allowing me to guide you even when the path bends in ways you did not expect. It means believing that even if something does not unfold as planned, I am still able to work through it for your good. Detours do not confuse me. Delays do not defeat me. Mistakes do not end my purpose for you. I am not asking you to pretend you are not afraid. I am asking you to bring your fear with you and still move forward. Trust does not silence fear immediately. It simply refuses to let fear decide. Each step you take while trusting me weakens fear's voice and strengthens your confidence in my guidance. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes familiar. You may think that trusting me means losing yourself, losing control, losing safety. But the opposite is true. Trusting me anchors you to something deeper than certainty. It roots you in love that does not shift with circumstances. Control can create the illusion of safety, but trust creates peace. And peace is what your soul has been longing for. Remember this, my beloved child. I have never asked you to walk alone or ahead of me. I walk beside you. When the path narrows, I am there. When the way feels unclear, I am still guiding. When you stumble, I steady you. You do not need to see the whole road when you are walking with the one who made it. So release the pressure to know everything. Release the burden of predicting outcomes. Bring your attention back to me, here and now. Place your trust not in what you can see, but in who is holding you. The unseen is not something to fear when I am with you. And as you trust me with what you cannot see, you will discover that you are safer than you ever realized. My beloved child, there is a truth I want to reveal to you now, something that has been quietly waiting beneath the surface of this moment. The step I am inviting you to take does more than move you forward. It awakens what has been resting within you. There are gifts, callings, and strengths that cannot activate while you remain still. They respond to obedience. They rise when faith becomes movement. You have carried more inside you than you realize. Seeds of purpose were planted in you long ago, some through joy, others through pain. For a time, they rested beneath the soil, unseen and untouched, not because they were forgotten, but because the season was not yet right. Dormancy is not death. It is protection. And now, as you stand at this edge, the conditions are changing. Movement creates alignment. Alignment releases life. When you step forward, you place yourself in the flow of what I have been preparing. Doors that remain closed to intention alone begin to open to action. Answers that stayed quiet during waiting begin to speak when faith responds. This is why something inside you feels ready to stir, even if your mind still feels uncertain. I know you have wondered why certain things have not worked yet. You tried harder. You pray longer. You wait impatiently. And still, some doors remain shut. That was not punishment. That was timing. Some doors do not open because you ask. They open because you arrive. And arrival requires motion. There is a difference between preparation and activation. Preparation happens in stillness. Activation happens in obedience. You have been prepared. Now comes the moment where what you have learned, endured, and healed begins to function. This is not about striving. It is about alignment. When you align your step with my invitation, what was dormant responds naturally. You may not feel a sudden surge of confidence or clarity when you move. Activation does not always feel dramatic. Often, it feels subtle at first, like a quiet sense of rightness, a gentle peace, a shift you cannot fully explain. But over time, you will notice that things begin to move more freely. Conversations open. Opportunities align. Strength appears where you once felt limited. This is not coincidence. This is life responding to obedience. I want you to understand something important. Staying still will not preserve what is inside you. Purpose does not remain neutral in prolonged stillness. It grows restless. That restlessness you feel is not dissatisfaction with your life. It is the stirring of something that wants to live. You were not created to remain paused at the edge of becoming. You may fear that stepping forward will expose you, that it will demand more than you are ready to give. But what activates in you is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to support you. The gifts I awaken are matched to the path ahead. I do not release strength without direction or calling without covering. When you move, you will notice that things begin to make sense in ways they never did before. Past experiences connect. Pain finds purpose. Lessons find application. What once felt scattered begins to gather into meaning. Activation brings coherence. It turns fragments into flow. Do not underestimate the power of one obedient step. You are not required to force growth. Growth responds to movement. A seed does not strain to become a tree. It responds to light, water, and time. In the same way, what I have placed within you responds to trust, obedience, and alignment. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are standing at the moment where readiness meets invitation. And when you step, you are not creating something new. You are allowing what already exists within you to breathe. Listen to that quiet pull in your spirit. That is activation calling your name. It is not loud because it is certain. It is not anxious because it trusts me. And it will not force you because love never does. Take the step, my beloved child. Not because you must, but because you are ready for what awakens when you do. My beloved child, I want to speak to you with clarity and love about something that often disguises itself as wisdom but quietly steals momentum. Delay is not always protection. Sometimes, delay is simply fear wearing a thoughtful mask. I know you tell yourself that you are waiting for the right time, the right feeling, the right sign. But there are moments when waiting no longer guards you. It confines you. There is a difference between divine waiting and fearful delay. Divine waiting carries peace, even when nothing moves. Fearful delay carries tension, restlessness, and quiet frustration. One restores your strength. The other slowly drains it. If your waiting has begun to feel heavy, if it has made you feel smaller instead of steadier, then it is no longer serving you. I know you are trying to be careful. You want to avoid pain. You want to make wise decisions. You want to honor what you have already survived. But hear me gently now. I do not lead you by fear. I lead you by peace. And peace is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of trust while moving. You may believe that waiting longer will make the step easier, but some steps do not become easier with time. They become heavier. Overthinking adds weight. Replaying possibilities multiplies fear. What began as a simple invitation slowly turns into a burden because delay gives fear more space to speak. That is why I am calling you to recognize this moment for what it is. I am not rushing you, but I am awakening you. There is a window of grace that opens when readiness and opportunity align. You are in that window now. Staying still will not make you safer. It will only keep you from discovering how supported you truly are. Protection does not always come from avoiding movement. Often, it comes from obedience. Remember how many times in your past you moved forward without full clarity, and yet you were sustained. You did not fall apart. You did not lose everything. You grew. You learned. You were guided. The same hand that carried you then has not grown weak. I am still faithful. I am still present. I am still leading you. Do not let delay convince you that you are being wise when you are simply being cautious out of fear. Wisdom listens for my voice, not fear's arguments. And my voice is calling you forward, not recklessly, not harshly, but lovingly and firmly. You are not being asked to abandon discernment. You are being asked to trust me more than your hesitation. This is a moment of choice, my beloved child. Not a dramatic one, not one that must be announced, but a real one. You can remain where you are and continue to wonder what might have been. Or you can take the step and discover that I was already waiting for you on the other side. Delay cannot improve what obedience will unlock. If these words are speaking to your spirit, do not keep them to yourself. Bless this message with a like so it can reach hearts that are stuck in the same waiting. Share it with someone who needs courage to move again. Subscribe so you can continue receiving these moments of guidance and peace. And help hype this message so it can rise and remind many that delay is not always protection. Sometimes it is the very thing holding them back. I am with you, my beloved child. Move with me. Trust me. And let delay release its hold. My beloved child, as you step out of delay and into obedience, I invite you to become part of what I am doing in many hearts. When you give, you are sowing seed into ground that brings light to weary souls and courage to those standing at the edge. I speak to you now as I once declared, whatever you sow, I will multiply, and the harvest will not bypass you. I am placing this invitation in your hands. This is your moment to respond. Do not let this prompting pass you by, for obedience releases blessing. I bless your giving with peace, increase, and open doors. Give now through Super Thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description, and QR code, and let this seed move where your feet cannot. My beloved child, I know that one of the deepest fears resting quietly in your heart is the fear of falling. Not simply failing at a task, but falling in a way that feels irreversible, losing your footing, losing your confidence, losing the stability you worked so hard to rebuild. You remember how long it took to stand again the last time you fell. You remember the ache, the doubt, the slow and careful process of trusting yourself again. And because of that memory, you hesitate now. So hear me clearly, gently, and with authority born of love. I will not let you fall. I do not call you forward carelessly. I do not invite you into movement without first preparing the ground beneath your feet. Before you ever sensed this step, I had already gone ahead of you. I have surveyed the terrain. I have accounted for your weakness and your strength. I have measured what you can carry and what you must release. When I lead you, I do not guess. I guide. You are not stepping into a void, You are stepping into a place where my presence is already active. Even when you cannot see it, I am there, steady and attentive. I am not watching from a distance to see whether you succeed or fail. I am close, close enough to catch you, close enough to steady you, close enough to whisper reassurance when your heart begins to race. I know how carefully you have learned to walk again. I know how protective you have become of your peace. That caution did not come from weakness, it came from experience. But protection is not meant to become a prison. I am not leading you into something that will undo the healing I have done in you. I am leading you into something that will deepen it. Healing was never meant to end in hiding. It was meant to restore your ability to move forward without fear ruling your steps. Even if your confidence feels fragile, my support is not. Even if your hands tremble, my hold on you does not loosen. A loving parent does not step away when a child begins to walk. They lean closer. They anticipate the wobble. They prepare for the stumble. They do not shame the child for unsteady steps. They celebrate the courage to try. That is how I am with you now. You may stumble, but stumbling is not the same as falling. A stumble teaches balance. A pause teaches awareness. Even a misstep can teach humility and reliance. Falling, the kind you fear, the kind that destroys and abandons. I do not allow that. I do not withdraw my care when you misjudge a moment. I remain present, guiding you back into alignment with gentleness, not condemnation. I know you want certainty. You want assurance that nothing will hurt, that disappointment will not return, that you will not be asked to endure another long season of rebuilding. But certainty has never been the foundation of faith. Relationship has. I do not promise you a path without difficulty, but I promise you a path without abandonment. I promise that even when things surprise you, I will not leave you to face them alone. Fear paints pictures where you are isolated, unsupported, and overwhelmed. Faith remembers who walks beside you. Fear tells you that one wrong step will undo everything. Faith knows that my grace is not that fragile. I have already carried you through moments you once believed would break you completely. You are still here because my faithfulness did not fail then, and it will not fail now. I will not let you fall into despair. I will not let you fall beyond recovery. I will not let you fall where I cannot reach you. Even if you feel weak, I will be your strength. Even if your path bends unexpectedly, I will guide you through it. My grip on you is stronger than your grip on courage, confidence, or understanding. So do not let fear of falling keep you frozen. Stillness born of fear is not safety, it is limitation. Growth always involves movement, and movement with me is never unsafe. I am not asking you to trust yourself to stand alone. I am asking you to trust me to hold you as you move. Lift your eyes, my beloved child. Feel my nearness. You are not being pushed forward. You are being supported every step of the way. And as you move, you will discover that the ground beneath you is firm. Not because you are strong enough, but because I am the one who upholds you. My beloved child, I want you to remember something important, something fear tries to erase when it speaks too loudly. Remember who you were when you took the first step, not the person you are now with all your experience and caution, but the one who stood at the beginning with far less certainty and still moved forward. You did not have answers then either. You did not feel ready. Yet you stepped, and that step changed everything. At the beginning, you did not know how the journey would unfold. You did not know how strong you would need to be or how much you would grow. You only knew that something inside you could not stay where it was. And so you moved, not because you were confident, but because staying still felt impossible. That courage did not come from certainty. It came from trust. And that same trust still lives within you. You may think you have changed too much since then, that life has made you more guarded, more hesitant, more careful. And yes, you have changed, but not in the way fear suggests. You are not weaker now. You are wiser. You are not more fragile. You are more aware. What you have gained through experience was never meant to paralyze you. It was meant to guide you. Wisdom does not cancel courage. It refines it. Think back to that earlier version of yourself. You were afraid then too, even if you do not remember it clearly. Fear just felt different because you had not yet been wounded in the same ways. But fear was still there, whispering doubts, warning you of risk. And yet you stepped anyway. Not because fear disappeared, but because hope spoke louder in that moment. That hope is that Venet. It had been tested, stretched, and reshaped, but it has not died. It is still there, quieter perhaps, but deeper. Less impulsive, more rooted. Less emotional, more discerning. It is growth, my beloved child. Do not mistake maturity for loss of faith. You have not lost what made you brave. You have learned how to carry it with wisdom. I know you sometimes wish you could return to that earlier simplicity, when trust felt easier and hope felt lighter. But you are not meant to go backward to move forward. You are meant to bring what you learned with you. The innocence of the beginning and the wisdom of the journey are meant to meet right here, in this moment. Remember this. You did not know then how much you would survive. You did not know how resilient you would become. You did not know how many times you would rise after falling. Yet you trusted me with your first step. And I was faithful to you. I guided you. I sustained you. I did not abandon you when things became difficult. I was with you in every chapter, even the ones you would rather forget. Why would I change now? The same voice that guided you then is guiding you now. The same hands that held you then are holding you now. The difference is not my faithfulness. It is your awareness of what the journey can cost. But cost does not cancel calling. It clarifies it. You now know what matters. You now know what you are unwilling to lose. That knowledge does not disqualify you from moving forward. It prepares you to move forward wisely. I am not asking you to become someone else. I am asking you to remember who you have always been, a soul capable of trusting me even without full understanding. You have already done this before. You have already stepped into the unknown and discovered that you were not alone there. So let the memory of your first steps strengthen you now, not as nostalgia but as testimony. Let it remind you that courage is not something you must create from nothing. It is something you already carry. It has been with you from the beginning. You trusted me once with less proof and less experience, and I proved myself faithful. You can trust me again now, with deeper wisdom and a stronger heart. The path ahead may look different, but the relationship remains the same. And just as I met you then, I will meet you now, faithful, present, and ready to walk with you into what comes next. My beloved child, I want you to understand something that reaches far beyond your own life, something that gives weight and beauty to the step you are being asked to take. Your obedience has never been only about you. The choices you make, the courage you show, the trust you place in me, these things ripple outward in ways you may never fully see. Your yes carries influence far beyond your awareness. You may feel small in this moment, as though your decisions are private, quiet, almost invisible. But nothing offered in obedience is ever wasted or contained. When you choose trust over fear, you shift more than your own path. You open doors for others who are watching, listening, waiting for permission to believe that movement is possible again. There are people connected to your life, some you know well, some you may never meet, whose courage is quietly tied to yours. They draw strength from your willingness to keep going, even when you are unsure. They find hope when they see you rise after difficulty, and though you may never hear them say it, your perseverance has already spoken to them. Sometimes you wonder why your journey has been so visible, why others have noticed your struggles, your pauses, your endurance. It is because your life is a message even when you are not speaking. I have placed light in you, not for display, but for guidance. Light does not need to announce itself. It simply shines, and others find their way by it. You are not responsible for saving anyone. That is not your burden. But you are responsible for responding to the invitation I place before you. And when you do, others are given courage to respond to theirs. Obedience creates permission. Faith creates pathways. Your movement makes room for others to move. I know this can feel heavy. You may think, what if I fail? What if I disappoint those who believe in me? But listen carefully. Perfection has never been the requirement. Authenticity has. People are not strengthened by flawless examples. They are strengthened by honest ones. By those who move forward despite fear. By those who trust me in weakness, not just in strength. Your obedience teaches others that fear does not have the final word. It shows them that healing does not mean hiding. It reveals that trust is possible even after disappointment. These lessons are powerful because they are lived, not explained. Even generations are touched by what you choose now. Some seeds you plant will grow in ways you will never witness in this lifetime. Acts of faith echo. They create patterns of courage that outlast moments and circumstances. You are part of something larger than you realize, woven into a story that extends beyond your own chapter. Do not shrink back because the impact feels overwhelming. I do not place responsibility on you without also placing grace. You are not carrying the outcome. You are carrying obedience. I handle the rest. When you step forward, I take care of what flows from it. I know you sometimes wish you could move quietly, without affecting anyone else, without the weight of influence. But influence is not always loud or public. Often it is gentle, personal, and unseen. A word spoken at the right time. A boundary honored. A risk taken in faith. These moments shape lives more than you know. Your yes matters because it aligns you with truth. And truth, when lived, is contagious. It invites others to be honest with themselves. It invites them to trust again. It invites them to believe that change is possible. So do not minimize your step, my beloved child. Do not tell yourself it is insignificant. Heaven sees it clearly. I see it clearly. And the ripples of your obedience will travel farther than your fear can imagine. You are not alone in this journey. You are part of a living story, one where each step taken in trust creates space for others to rise. Walk forward with humility, not pressure, with courage, not pride. I will guide you, and I will use your obedience gently and powerfully, just as I always have. My beloved child, I want you to learn how to recognize the voices that speak within you, because not every voice that sounds urgent deserves your attention. Fear is loud. It rushes. It repeats itself. It paints images meant to overwhelm you and drown out anything gentler. My voice, however, is steady. It does not shout over you. It waits for you. And even now, it is speaking more clearly than you realize. Fear demands immediate agreement. It presses you to decide quickly, often pushing you toward retreat. It tells you that danger is near, that failure is inevitable, that you must protect yourself at all costs. But fear is not wisdom, even when it borrows the language of logic. It is reactive, not discerning. It responds to past pain, not present truth. My voice does not rush you into panic. It does not accuse you or threaten you. It reassures you even when it challenges you. It may call you forward, but it does so with peace, not pressure. When you listen closely, you will notice the difference. Fear deadens your chest. My voice settles your spirit. Fear confuses. My voice clarifies. You have spent a long time listening to fear because it learned how to sound familiar. It learned your history. It learned your wounds. It learned which memories to bring forward to make its case stronger. But familiarity does not make fear trustworthy. It only makes it practiced. And just because a voice hath been with you for a long time does not mean it deserves authority. I speak in stillness because stillness creates space for truth. When everything is loud, fear thrives. When you slow down, fear loses its grip. That is why I often invite you to pause, to breathe, to listen beneath the noise. My voice is not hidden. It is simply quieter than fear, but it is far more powerful. You may think that fear is protecting you, but fear only knows how to react. I know how to lead. Fear wants to keep you contained within what you already understand. I want to expand you into who you are becoming. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. I focus on who you are becoming through trust. Do not be discouraged if fear still speaks. Its presence does not mean you are failing. It means you are standing at the edge of something that matters. Fear often grows louder when it senses it is losing control. The closer you move toward obedience, the more fear tries to reclaim influence. But its volume does not equal truth. You are learning discernment now. Discernment is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to recognize which voice aligns with love, truth, and peace. My voice will always draw you toward wholeness, even when the path requires courage. Fear will always draw you toward isolation, even when it promises safety. Listen to how I speak to you. I do not shame you for hesitating. I do not condemn you for feeling afraid. I do not belittle your questions. I invite you. I reassure you. I remind you of who you are and who I am. That is how you will know it is me. When you feel overwhelmed, return to stillness. Let the noise settle. Let your breathing slow. In that quiet, you will sense my nearness. You will feel peace that does not depend on certainty. You will recognize direction that does not rely on force. This is how I guide you, not by pushing you from behind, but by drawing you forward with love. You do not need to silence fear completely to move forward. You only need to refuse it the final word. Fear can speak, but it does not decide. I decide. And I decide with compassion, patience, and clarity. So the next time fear rises, you not argue with it endlessly. Instead, turn your attention toward me. Ask yourself which voice brings peace without denial, courage without arrogance, and truth without condemnation. That voice is mine. I am louder than fear, my beloved child, not in volume, but in authority. And as you learn to listen to me above the noise, you will find that fear no longer controls your steps. It becomes background sound, while my voice becomes your guide. My beloved child, I want you to hear this with clarity and kindness, because it touches a tender place in your heart. I am calling you forward, not backward. And yet I know how strong the pull of the past can feel when the future is uncertain. Familiar ground, even when it was painful, can feel safer than unknown promise. But safety was never meant to become your direction. There are moments when nostalgia disguises itself as wisdom. It reminds you of what you knew, what you managed, what you survived. It tells you that returning to what is familiar will protect you from disappointment. But the past, no matter how well you understand it, cannot carry the future I have prepared for you. You have outgrown some places, some patterns, some versions of yourself, and returning to them would not bring peace. It would only bring limitation. I am not calling you forward because the past was meaningless. I am calling you forward because it has fulfilled its purpose. Every season you walked through shaped you, taught you, and strengthened you. But seasons are not meant to repeat endlessly. Growth requires movement. And staying where you are simply because you understand it will quietly keep you from becoming who you are meant to be. You may feel torn between what was and what could be. Part of you wants to honor how far you've come by not risking more. Another part of you feels restless, stirred by the sense that there is more ahead. That restlessness is not ingratitude. It is invitation. It is the signal that the season you are in is shifting. I know you fear that moving forward means losing something: people, identity, comfort, or control. But moving forward does not erase what came before. It redeems it. It gives meaning to the struggle and context to the pain. You do not honor your past by staying there. You honor it by allowing it to propel you into something greater. There are things behind you that no longer fit who you are becoming. Old habits, old expectations, old labels that once helped you survive but now restrict you. Holding on to them may feel responsible, but it quietly weighs you down. I am not asking you to abandon wisdom or forget lessons learned. I am asking you to release what no longer aligns with the direction I am leading you. I am calling you forward because there is growth that can only happen ahead. There are parts of you that will only awaken when you step into new territory. Courage deepens when it is exercised. Trust strengthens when it is tested. Love expands when it is risked. None of these things can grow if you remain turned toward what has already passed. Do not confuse reflection with residence. It is good to remember, to learn, to honor what you've been through. But you were never meant to live looking over your shoulder. I am doing something new in you, not because the old was bad, but because it has run its course. The future I am leading you into requires space, openness, and willingness. I am not asking you to rush forward recklessly. I am asking you to stop retreating emotionally. Some of your hesitation comes from a habit of bracing yourself for disappointment by staying mentally in the past. But hope cannot grow where you are always preparing to go backward. Hope needs room to breathe. You do not need to be afraid of what lies ahead. I am already there. And I am not calling you forward to abandon you. I am calling you forward to meet you in a new way. The same love that sustained you before will sustain you again, but it will express itself through new experiences, new strength, and new clarity. So lift your gaze, my beloved child. Let the past rest where it belongs, behind you, honored but not clung to. The path ahead may feel unfamiliar, but it is filled with purpose. I am not leading you backward into what you already survive. I am leading you forward into what you are ready to live. Walk with me. Trust me. The direction is forward, and I am with you every step of the way. My beloved child, I want you to understand a truth that will steady your heart right now. Some doors do not open by waiting in front of them. They open when you reach out and place your hand on the handle. They respond to movement, not intention alone. You have been faithful in waiting, faithful in listening, faithful in preparing. But this door before you opens from this side. I know you hoped for a moment when everything would feel obvious, when the path would light up clearly and remove all doubt. But not every door announces itself with certainty. Some doors are recognized by invitation, not explanation. They open when trust becomes action, when faith steps out of thought and into motion. You have been standing close enough to feel the weight of the moment, close enough to sense the change in the air. But closeness alone does not move you through. You must participate, not with striving or force, but with willingness. Grace is not passive. It meets you as you move. This is where many misunderstand me. They think waiting is always safer than acting. They believe that if something is meant to be, it will happen without their involvement. But relationship has always required response. I speak, and you answer. I invite, and you move. I do not drag you through door you refuse to touch. I am not asking you to push with strength you do not have. I am asking you to place your hand on what I have already unlocked. The resistance you fear is not in the door, it is in the hesitation. When you step forward, you will feel it yield, not because you are powerful, but because obedience aligns you with what I have already prepared. You may worry about forcing something that is not meant for you. But hear me clearly. I am not asking you to force anything. Forcing creates anxiety. Obedience creates peace even when the step is hard. If this were not meant for you, your spirit would feel heavy with warning, not stirred with invitation. What you are feeling now is not alarm. It is anticipation mixed with fear. There is a difference. You are not opening this door alone. I am with you in the movement. My presence does not wait on the other side to evaluate you. It moves with you as you reach forward. The door opens because you and I are moving together. I know you are afraid of making the wrong move, of stepping into something prematurely. But stillness can be premature too. There is a time when waiting becomes disobedience disguised as patience. That time is not marked by chaos but by stagnation. When nothing is growing anymore, when your heart feels restless instead of rested, it is often because the door is no longer meant to stay closed. I have given you enough light for the next step, even if I have not given you light for the entire path. That is intentional. Trust grows when you rely on me step by step, not when you control the journey. You do not need to know what happens after the door opens. You only need to be willing to open it. This moment is not about proving your faith. It is about practicing it. Faith becomes real when it moves your hands and feet, not just your thoughts. And every time you have moved with me before, I have met you with provision, clarity, and strength at the right time. Do not underestimate what happens when you act in alignment. What felt blocked begins to shift. What felt distant begins to draw near. Momentum returns. Life responds. Not because you earned it, but because you step into flow. So stand before this door without fear. Place your hand on it with humility, not pressure. You are not rushing me, and I am not delaying you. This is the moment where trust becomes tangible. Open the door, my beloved child. Not because you are certain of what lying beyond, but because you are certain of who walks with you. My beloved child, this moment before you is not ordinary, even if it feels quiet. It is a moment of alignment, a moment where what I have been forming within you meets what I have been preparing ahead of you. Alignment does not arrive with noise or spectacle. It arrives with a deep, steady knowing that something is finally coming into place. For a long time, things felt slightly off. You tried to move, but progress felt strained. You tried to rest, but rest felt incomplete. Attention was not failure. It was misalignment. Not because you were wrong, but because the timing had not yet converged. Now it has. And that is why this moment carries weight. Alignment happens when your willingness meets my invitation. It is not about having everything figured out. It is about being positioned correctly in heart and spirit. You have been shaped, softened, strengthened, and steadied for this. The waiting refined you. The delays clarified you. The uncertainty taught you to listen more closely. All of it has been drawing you here. You may still feel fear, and that does not disqualify you. Alignment does not remove emotion. It orders it. Fear no longer leads. Trust does. Doubt may still speak, but it does not decide. Peace begins to take its rightful place, not loud, not dramatic, but firm. This is the moment when heaven and earth cooperate through your obedience. Not because you are extraordinary, but because you are available. Alignment is powerful precisely because it is simple. It does not require perfection. It requires presence. It requires a yes that is honest, even if it trembles. I know you have waited for confirmation. You wanted reassurance that this was truly the right time, the right direction, the right step. This sense of alignment is that confirmation. It is not fireworks. It is coherence. It is the quiet realization that resisting this step now would cost more than taking it. When alignment arrives, momentum follows. Not all at once, but naturally. Things begin to respond. You will notice less resistance where there was once friction, less confusion where there was once noise. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you are finally moving in rhythm with me. Do not rush this moment, but do not ignore it. Alignment is delicate. It is an invitation, not a demand. It respects your freedom, but it does not linger forever. Windows of alignment are meant to be entered, not studied endlessly. You are not being pushed. You are being positioned. Positioned to receive. Positioned to grow. Positioned to move with clarity rather than strain. This is why your spirit feels alert. This is why something within you knows this matters. If these words are settling into your heart, let them move beyond you. Bless this message with a like so it can reach others standing at their own moment of alignment. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that they are not behind. Subscribe so you can continue walking with me through what unfolds next. And help hype this message so it can rise and find the hearts that are ready but unsure. My beloved child, alignment does not ask you to become someone else. It reveals who you already are. Step into it gently. Trust it deeply. I am here, and this moment is real. My beloved child, as you stand in alignment, I invite you to let your obedience flow into blessing for others. When you give, you are sowing seed into living ground, into hearts that are awakening, lining, and finding their way back to me. I speak to you now as I always have. When you release what is in your hand, I release what is in mine. This invitation is not random. It is placed before you for such a moment as this. Do not delay what I am stirring. Respond while the door is open. I bless your giving with increase, peace, and divine return. Give now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description and QR code, and let this seed move with purpose and power. My beloved child, I want to release you from the exhausting habit of measuring what I have asked you to do. You keep turning this step over in your mind, examining it from every angle, weighing its risks, its timing, its cost. You ask whether it is too big, too sudden, too dangerous, or too late. But hear me clearly now. This step was never meant to be measured. It was meant to be trusted. The weight you feel is not coming from the step itself. It is coming from the pressure of analysis. You have been trying to calculate your way into peace, but peace does not come through calculation. It comes through surrender. Overthinking has quietly drained your strength, not because you lack wisdom, but because you have been using your mind to do the work of faith. Fear convinces you that careful measuring will keep you safe. But measuring often keeps you stuck. The more you analyze, the heavier the step feels. The more you calculate, the more impossible it appears. This is because control demands certainty, and certainty is something this moment was never designed to give you. Trust, not certainty, is what carries you forward. You are not being asked to leap across a vast distance. You are being asked to take one obedient step. Fear enlarges that step because it wants you to believe that failure would be catastrophic. But obedience is rarely dramatic. It is often quiet, simple, and deeply powerful. Many of the most important decisions in your life were made in moments that felt small at the time. When you measure the step, you also begin measuring yourself. You ask if you are ready enough, healed enough, strong enough. You compare who you are now to who you think you should be. And in doing so, you shift your focus away from me and onto your limitations. But this journey has never depended on your sufficiency. It has always depended on mine. I am not asking you to trust yourself. I am asking you to trust me. Childlike trust does not mean careless trust. It means uncomplicated trust. A child does not test the strength of the arms holding them. They simply lean in. That is the trust I am inviting you into now, not because you are unaware, but because you are loved. You fear making the wrong move, but I want you to understand something important. I can guide a moving heart far more easily than a frozen one. Direction can be graded. Timing can be adjusted. But stillness born of fear resists guidance altogether. When you move, even imperfectly, you place yourself where my direction can meet you. You are not required to get everything right. You are required to stay responsive. This is not a test you must pass. This is a relationship you are living. If the step needs refinement, I will refine it. If it needs patience, I will slow you. If it needs courage, I will strengthen you. You are not navigating this alone. Measuring the step keeps your eyes fixed on outcomes. Taking the step keeps your eyes fixed on me. Outcomes belong to me. Obedience belongs to you. When you try to carry both, anxiety grows. When you release the outcome, peace begins to breathe again. There is freedom waiting for you beyond this inner struggle. Freedom from endless rehearsing. Freedom from imagining every possible failure. Freedom from the pressure to make the perfect choice. That freedom begins the moment you stop measuring and start trusting. Preparation has already done its work. Continuing to prepare will not make you more ready. It will only make you more weary. Readiness now looks like willingness. It looks like a quiet yes spoken from the heart, not a flawless plan built in the mind. So put down the ruler, my beloved child. Release the scale. Stop weighing what I have already asked you to trust. The step does not need to be impressive. It does not need to be loud. It only needed to be obedient. Take it simply. Take it honestly. Take it with me. And you will discover that what felt overwhelming in thought becomes manageable in motion, because I am walking with you every step of the way. My beloved child, I want you to understand something your heart has been longing to feel again. Peace is not something you must chase or manufacture. It is something that follows obedience like a gentle companion. You have been searching for it in stillness, in delay, in waiting for the right feeling. But peace has been waiting for you on the other side of your yes. You may believe that once everything feels calm, once fear fades and certainty appears, then you will be ready to move. But that is not how peace works. Peace does not always arrive before obedience. Often, it comes after. It settles in when resistance ends. It breathes again when alignment is restored. The tension you have been carrying is not because something is wrong with you. It is because your spirit knows it has been standing at a threshold for too long. You have felt this unrest in quiet moments, when your mind grows still but your heart remains unsettled. You have felt it when you try to convince yourself that staying where you are is enough, yet something inside you whispers that it is not. That whisper is not dissatisfaction. It is direction. Resistance to direction creates strain. Movement with direction creates peace. Peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the absence of inner conflict. When your actions align with my leading, even challenges feel lighter. Even uncertainty feels manageable. You stop fighting yourself. You stop debating endlessly. You stop carrying the weight of hesitation. And in that release, peace begins to rise. I know you fear that taking this step will disrupt the fragile calm you have built. You have worked hard to stabilize your life, your emotions, your routines, and you worry that obedience will undo that balance. But hear me gently. Peace built on avoidance is fragile. Peace built on trust is enduring. Avoidance postpones discomfort, but it does not remove it. Obedience transforms discomfort into growth. Do not confuse peace with comfort. Comfort asks nothing of you. Peace sustains you through what asks much. Comfort keeps things predictable. Peace keeps you grounded. Comfort avoids risk. Peace walks through it with me. The calm you are longing for cannot be preserved by staying still. It is restored by moving in truth. Think back to moments in your life when you finally acted after long hesitation. Even if the path ahead was unclear, something inside you relaxed once the decision was made. The questioning stopped. A noise quieted. That was peace responding to alignment. That same peace is waiting for you again. I am not asking you to force peace into existence. I am inviting you to step into it. When you say yes to me, even quietly, even imperfectly, peace begins to take root. It may arrive gently, like a deep exhale you did not realize you were holding. Over time, it becomes steadier, stronger, more present than before. Peace does not mean you will never feel fear again. It means fear will no longer rule you. It means you will feel anchored even when waves rise. It means you will know deep within that you are walking where you are meant to walk, with the one who will not leave you. You are not meant to live in constant tension, endlessly weighing options and imagining outcomes. You are meant to live in trust, guided step by step. That trust does not remove uncertainty, but it removes the loneliness of uncertainty. You are not navigating this alone. So take the step, my beloved child. Not because you feel perfectly ready, but because you trust me enough to move. Let peace meet you there. Let it settle into your heart as quiet confirmation that you are no longer resisting what you already know. Rest is waiting for you. Not the rest of avoidance, but the rest of obedience. And when you move forward, you will discover that peace was never something you had to find. It was something I had already prepared for you, just beyond the moment you chose to trust me. My beloved child, I want you to lift your eyes beyond this moment and rest in a truth that steadies every fear. I am already in your tomorrow. You are not walking toward uncertainty alone. You are walking toward a place where I am present, prepared, and waiting with care. The future does not surprise me. It does not confuse me. And it does not threaten me. You imagine tomorrow as a blank space, a question mark filled with possibilities that your mind rushes to fill. Some of those possibilities excite you, others frighten you. But what you cannot see is that your tomorrow is not empty. It is already held. I stand there with the same faithfulness that carried you through yesterday and sustains you today. You worry about what will be required of you next. You wonder if you will have enough strength, enough wisdom, enough courage when the moment comes. But strength is not something you must store up in advance. I supply it in real time. I do not give tomorrow's grace today, because today's grace is enough. When tomorrow arrives, so will what you need. I know your fear tells you that stepping forward could lead you into loss or disappointment. It shows you images of what could go wrong and asks you to prepare for pain. But preparation through fear only exhausts you. Preparation through trust anchors you. I am not asking you to imagine every possible outcome. I am asking you to remember who goes with you into each one. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not stepping into a future that has forgotten you. Every detail of your life is known to me. Every door you will face, every conversation you will have, every challenge that may arise, I have already accounted for them, and I have already made provision for you within them. Think of how many times in the past you feared what was ahead, only to discover that you were carried through it. Think of how often you said, "I don't know how I will handle this," and yet you did. Not because you were strong enough on your own, but because I was with you. That has not changed. My presence does not expire. My care does not diminish with time. I am already shaping circumstances you have not encountered yet. I am already softening places you will step into. I am already arranging support you cannot yet see. Just as I have been faithful behind you, I will be faithful ahead of you. The same hand that guided you through uncertainty before is still guiding you now. Your task is not to manage tomorrow. Your task is to trust me today. Anxiety tries to pull you forward before you are meant to arrive. But peace lives in the present, where you and I are walking together. When you stay with me here, you will find that tomorrow does not feel as frightening as fear made it seem. I know you are tempted to wait until you feel braver about what lies ahead. But bravery does not come from certainty. It comes from confidence in me. You do not need to feel ready for everything that is coming. You only need to be willing to walk with me into it. You are not stepping into the unknown. You are stepping into my knowledge. You are not walking toward chaos. You are walking toward order I have already established. Even when things unfold differently than you expect, they will not unfold outside of my care. So let go of the pressure to figure everything out. Release the burden of trying to control what has not yet arrived. Bring your attention back to me, right here, right now. This is where your strength is renewed. This is where peace is restored. Take comfort in this, my beloved child. When you reach tomorrow, you will find me there, just as present as I am with you now. And when you step forward today, you are not rushing into danger. You are walking into a future already covered by my faithfulness. My beloved child, there is something tender and necessary I want to speak to you about now. Moving forward does not only require courage to step into what is ahead, it also requires honesty to release what no longer belongs with you. You cannot carry everything into the next season. Not because you are weak, but because some things were never meant to go with you this far. You have held on to certain thoughts, habits, roles, and expectations because they once helped you survive. They gave you structure when things were uncertain. They protected you when you were vulnerable. But survival tools are not always destiny tools. What once kept you safe may now be keeping you small. And I do not say this with criticism, but with compassion. Letting go can feel like loss, even when what you are releasing is heavy. Familiar weight can feel safer than unfamiliar freedom. You know how to manage what you've been carrying. You know its shape. You know its cost. Releasing it means trusting that I will fill the space with something better. And that kind of trust can feel risky. Some of what you are being asked to release is internal. Old narratives about who you are. Old labels you accepted during painful seasons. Beliefs formed in moments of disappointment that quietly shaped your identity. You may not even realize how much they have influenced your decisions. But they no longer reflect who you are becoming. Other things are external. Patterns, relationships, routines, or expectations that drain you more than they nourish you. You may feel guilty for wanting to let them go. You may tell yourself that holding on proves loyalty or responsibility. But obedience sometimes requires separation, not out of rejection, but out of alignment. I am not asking you to release anything harshly. Letting go does not need to be dramatic. It can be gentle. It can be intentional. It can be an internal decision before it ever becomes an external change. What matters is your willingness to acknowledge that not everything from the past belongs in the future. You may fear that releasing these things will leave you empty. But emptiness created by obedience is not abandonment. It is preparation. Space is necessary for growth. Soil must be cleared before new seed can take root. If you carry everything forward, there will be no room for what I am trying to give you. Letting go is not forgetting. It is not denying what you have been through. It is honoring the role something played and recognizing that its season has ended. Gratitude and release can exist together. You are allowed to appreciate what helped you once without keeping it forever. I know part of you resists this because holding on feels like control. Control feels safer than trust. But control cannot heal you further. It can only maintain what already exists. Trust opens the door to transformation. And transformation requires surrender. You do not have to release everything at once. I am not overwhelming you. I am guiding you. One layer at a time. One realization at a time. One gentle decision to no longer define yourself by what you survived instead of what you are becoming. Pay attention to what feels heavy when you think about moving forward. That heaviness is often a signal, not of danger, but of attachment. Ask yourself whether it is meant to be carried into the next season or laid down with gratitude. I will give you clarity if you listen. I am not taking things from you to punish you. I am removing weight so you can walk freely. The path ahead requires lightness of spirit, not burdened endurance. You have carried enough. You have proven your strength. Now I want you to experience freedom. So release what no longer fits, my beloved child. Not in fear, not in haste, but in trust. What I am leading you into has room for joy, peace, and growth, but only if you are willing to let go of what no longer aligns. Your hands were never meant to be clenched forever. Open them. Let me take what you no longer need to carry. And as you do, you will feel the quiet relief of walking forward unburdened, ready for what comes next. My beloved child, I want you to understand what this step truly represents, because it is deeper than movement and greater than change. This step is not about proving yourself. It is not about achieving something impressive. It is about confirming your trust. Trust is not fully revealed in what you feel or say. It is revealed in what you choose to do when uncertainty remains. You may believe that trust should feel confident, calm, and unwavering. But real trust often feels quiet, vulnerable, and exposed. It is the decision to lean into me even when part of you still trembles. It is the willingness to move forward without demanding guarantees. And that kind of trust touches my heart deeply. I am not measuring your faith by how fearless you feel. I am looking at your obedience. Obedience is the language trust speaks when words fall short. When you choose to move with me despite unanswered questions. You are declaring with your life that you believe I am faithful, even when you cannot see the full picture. This step confirms that your relationship with me is real, not theoretical. Anyone can trust when the path is clear. Anyone can follow when outcomes are certain. But you are learning to trust me when clarity is partial and assurance comes from my presence rather than from proof. That is living faith. You may not realize it, but every time you hesitate and then choose to move anyway, something in you is strengthened. Your trust becomes less dependent on circumstances and more anchored in who I am. That kind of trust cannot be shaken easily. It is forged, not gifted. And you are forging it now. I know you sometimes worry that your faith is too small or too fragile. But faith is not measured by its size. It is measured by its direction. Even a small step taken toward me confirms where your heart truly rests. You are not required to trust perfectly. You are invited to trust honestly. This moment is important because it marks a shift. You are no longer standing on the edge wondering if you can trust me. You are discovering that you already do. Your actions are revealing what your heart has been learning quietly over time. Trust is becoming instinctive, not forced. I want you to know that your obedience delights me. Not because I need it, but because it frees you. Every step you take with me loosens fear's grip and strengthens your confidence in my guidance. You are becoming someone who responds to my voice more readily, not because you are pressured, but because you are connected. This confirmation of trust is not loud. It may not be seen by others. It may not be celebrated outwardly, but it is deeply significant. Heaven recognizes it. I recognize it, and it will bear fruit in ways you cannot yet imagine. You are not obeying to earn my love. My love has always been yours. You are obeying because you trust it, and that trust allows me to lead you into deeper peace, greater freedom, and fuller life. Obedience is not a burden when it flows from trust. It becomes a pathway. I know the step still feels tender. I know you are still aware of your vulnerability. But vulnerability does not disqualify you. It confirms your sincerity. You are not pretending to be strong. You are choosing to trust me with your weakness. It is powerful. So do not underestimate what is happening in this moment. This step is confirming something eternal, that you are learning to trust me not just when it is easy, but when it matters most. And as you continue to walk in that trust, you will find that my guidance becomes clearer, my peace becomes steadier, and your confidence in me grows deeper. Walk forward gently, my beloved child, not striving, not proving, simply trusting. This step confirms what your heart has been learning all along. You are safe with me, and you can follow my voice wherever it leads. My beloved child, I want to speak gently to the place in you that feels exposed right now. The place that notices your hands trembling even as your heart whispers yes. The place that wonders why courage does not feel stronger, steadier, or more confident than this. Listen to me carefully, because this truth matters deeply. Trembling does not disqualify you. It reveals your humanity, and I have never rejected you for being human. You have been taught, in ways you may not even realize, that courage should arrive without fear, that bravery should feel bold, loud, and unshakable. But that idea has caused you unnecessary shame. True courage often walks quietly. It moves forward while the knees still feel weak and the breath still catches. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to trust me while fear is still present. I see how carefully you are stepping. I see how aware you are of what this moment costs you emotionally. You are not rushing past your feelings, and you are not pretending they do not exist. You are being honest with me about your vulnerability. That honesty is sacred. It is not something I need you to overcome before I walk with you. It is something I honor as part of your trust. You may feel embarrassed by your fear, as though it proves you are not ready or not strong enough. But strength is not proven by steady hands. Strength is proven by where you place them, and you are placing them in mine. You are choosing connection over control, trust over self-protection. That choice speaks louder than confidence ever could. There were seasons in your life when fear stopped you completely, when uncertainty froze you in place, when you told yourself that waiting was wisdom, even though it was rooted in fear. But look at you now. Even with trembling hands, you are still listening, still leaning forward, still choosing trust over retreat. There's growth, my beloved child, and it did not happen by accident. I am not asking you to silence your fear before you move. I am asking you to bring it with you. Fear loses its authority when it is no longer hidden or obeyed. When you acknowledge it and still step forward, it becomes smaller. Each obedient step taken with trembling weakens fear's grip and strengthens your confidence in my faithfulness. You do not need to feel bold to be brave. You do not need to feel calm to be faithful. You only need to be willing. Willingness opens doors that confidence alone never could. Willingness invites my strength into your weakness. And my strength is not displayed when you appear strong. It is revealed when you stop pretending to be. I know you worry about how others might perceive your uncertainty. You wonder if hesitation makes you look unprepared or unstable. But this step is not about appearances. It is about alignment. People may never see the inner battle you are fighting, but I see it clearly. I see every moment you choose trust while your heart still races, and I delight in that sincerity. Do not let trembling convince you that you are unready. Trembling often means you care deeply. It means you understand the weight of what is before you. It means you are stepping into something meaningful. Indifference does not tremble. Growth does. Love does. Trust does. I am not waiting for you to become fearless before I walk with you. I am walking with you now, in this very moment, while your thoughts swirl and your breath feels shallow. My presence is not reserved for the confident. It is promised to the willing. And you are willing. Even now, peace is near you. Not the kind of peace that instantly erases fear, but the kind that steadies you enough to take the next step. That is all you need. You do not need certainty. You do not need control. You need connection, and you have it. So if your hands shake, let them shake. If your voice wavers, let it waver. Say yes anyway. Move anyway. Trust anyway. I am not measuring how calm you feel. I am watching how deeply you rely on me. And I promise you this, my beloved child, as you continue to walk with me, your trembling will soften. Not because life becomes easy, but because dress becomes familiar. What feels fragile now will grow steady through experience. Fear will lose its authority, step by step. You are not failing because you tremble. You are growing because you move. And I am with you, in every uncertain breath, in every careful step, and in every moment where faith chooses to walk forward despite fear. My beloved child, I want you to picture me not as distant or waiting with crossed arms, but standing before you with open arms. I am not urging you forward from behind. I am waiting ahead of you, ready to receive you the moment you move. The step you are considering does not lead into emptiness. It leads into embrace. You may have imagined that obedience would feel like walking away from safety, but the truth is the opposite. Obedience is walking toward me. It is stepping into closeness. It is choosing presence over distance, connection over hesitation. You are not leaving anything that can truly sustain you. You are approaching the one who always has. I know you worry that once you step forward, expectations will rise and pressure will increase. You fear being asked to carry more than you can bear. But I am not standing ahead of you with demands. I am standing here with rest, with reassurance, with a promise that you will not be alone in what comes next. My arms are open not because you have done everything right, but because you are mine. They are open to steady you when you feel unsure, to hold you when emotions surface, to remind you that you belong before you ever perform. You do not earn this welcome. You walk into it. There is a reason your heart longs for this step even while your mind resists it. Your spirit recognizes home. It recognizes alignment. It recognizes the safety of being close to me rather than standing at a distance trying to figure everything out on your own. Distance creates anxiety. Nearness restores peace. I am not waiting for you to clean yourself up, to feel confident, or to arrive without fear. I am waiting as you are, with your questions, with your vulnerability, with your hope and hesitation intertwined. Nothing about you in this moment disqualifies you from being received. When you step forward, you will not be met with criticism or disappointment. You will be met with relief. Relief that you no longer have to hold yourself together alone. Relief that you no longer have to pretend you know what you are doing. Relief that comes from being supported instead of self-sustaining. You have spent a long time bracing yourself, my beloved child, preparing for what might go wrong, guarding your heart against disappointment. That posture helped you survive, but it cannot help you rest. Rest comes when you allow yourself to be held, and that is what awaits you here. This is not a trap. This is not a test. This is an invitation into deeper relationship. I am not asking you to impress me. I am inviting you to trust me. The step before you is not about effort. It is about surrender, about letting yourself be received instead of remaining at a careful distance. I know you are tempted to stand where you are a little longer, to analyze one more time, to make sure you are ready. But readiness has already been forming in you. The longing you feel is not impatience, it is recognition. Recognition that the place you are meant to be is closer than you think. Come as you are. Step forward gently. I am not rushing you, but I am ready for you. My arms have been open long before you notice them. And when you move, you will realize that you were never walking toward judgment, you were walking toward home. If these words are bringing peace to your spirit, bless this message with a like so it can reach hearts that need to feel welcomed again. Share it with someone who feels afraid to step forward. Subscribe so you can continue walking with me through what unfolds next. And help hype this message so it can rise and reach those who believe they must stay distant to be safe. I am here, my beloved child. Take the step. You will be received. My beloved child, as you step toward my open arms, I invite you to help extend this embrace to others. When you give, you are sowing light into hearts that feel distant, weary, and unsure if they are welcome. I speak to you now. As you pour out, I pour back in overflowing measure, pressed down and running over. This is your moment to act in love, not delay. Let your giving become a river that carries hope farther than your voice can reach. I bless your obedience with peace, provision, and increase. Give now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and QR code, and let this seed open doors for many who are waiting to come home. My beloved child, I want you to understand something deeply important about this moment you are in right now. This moment is not random. It is not coincidental. It is not something you stumbled into by chance. Today, this exact moment when you are hearing these words has been carefully woven into your journey. You are not here because you were searching aimlessly. You are here because I intended to meet you here. You may think of time as something that simply moves forward without meaning, but I do not work that way. I work with purpose. I work with intention. I work with precision wrapped in love. And this moment has been waiting for you just as much as you have been waiting for answers. Nothing about this encounter is accidental. There were days when you wondered if you had missed your moment. Times when you feared you were too late, too slow, too hesitant. You replayed decisions in your mind and asked yourself if things would have been different had you moved sooner or chosen differently. But hear me now. You have not missed what was meant for you. What is meant for you meets you at the right time, not the rushed time. This moment arrives now because you are ready in ways you were not before. Not because you are perfect, but because you are honest. Not because you have everything figured out, but because your heart is open. Earlier seasons shaped you, softened you, strengthened you, and prepared you to hear this invitation without running from it or misusing it. If this message had come earlier, you might not have recognized it. You might have ignored it, rushed past it, or misunderstood it. But now, something in you is listening differently. Something in you is still enough to hear. That is not coincidence. That is preparation meeting timing. I know you sometimes feel pressure when you think about timing, as though every decision must be urgent, or everything will fall apart. But urgency does not mean panic. Urgency means awareness. It means recognizing when a door is open and choosing not to walk past it distracted. This moment carries that kind of urgency, not loud, not frantic, but meaningful. You are not being rushed. You are being invited to pay attention, to notice that your heart is responding, to acknowledge that something within you knows this matters. That knowing is not anxiety. It is alignment. I want you to trust that I am not late in your life. I am not catching up. I am not adjusting plans because of your mistakes. I am steady. I am faithful. I am intentional. And I am present with you right now, offering clarity exactly when you can receive it. Do not dismiss this moment as just another message or another thought. Let it settle. Let it speak. Let it remind you that I am involved in the details of your life, not just the big turning points. Even this quiet moment of reflection is part of your unfolding story. You do not need to rush to act immediately, but you do need to recognize that this moment is meaningful. Some moments are meant to be honored before they are acted upon. Honoring this moment means acknowledging that you are being guided, that you are being seen, that you are being invited into something real. You are not standing at a dead end. You are standing at an intersection. One path leads back to familiarity and delay. The other leads forward into trust and movement. I am not forcing you to choose, but I am making it clear that this moment matters. So stay present, my beloved child. Do not rush ahead in fear, and do not drift away in distraction. Be here. Listen. Breathe. Allow yourself to recognize that today is not just another day. It is a point of awakening. I am with you in this moment. I have been with you in every moment that led to it, and I will be with you in every moment that follows. This is not an accident. This is an invitation, and you are exactly where you need to be. My beloved child, before your feet ever move and before your hands reach forward, there is a quieter step I am inviting you to take. It is the step no one else can see, the step that happens deep within you. This is the moment when your heart agrees with me, even if your circumstances have not changed and your path is not yet clear. This inner yes matters more than you know, because every outward step is born from an inward decision. You may be waiting for confidence to rise before you commit, believing that courage should come first. But most of the time, courage is the result of commitment, not the cause of it. Long before your life changes on the outside, something shifts within you. That inner shift is where faith begins its work. What you allow in your heart determines the direction your life will take. I know your heart has learned caution. You have protected it carefully after disappointment, after unanswered prayers, after moments when trust felt costly. Because of that, even a quiet yes can feel dangerous. It can feel like you are exposing yourself again to uncertainty. But this yes is not reckless. It is not naive. It is rooted in relationship. And relationship has always been the safest place for you. You do not need to announce this yes to anyone. You do not need to defend it or explain it. This is not a public declaration. It is a sacred agreement between you and me. It is the moment you stop resisting what your spirit already recognizes. The moment you stop bargaining with fear. The moment you allow truth to settle instead of constantly questioning it. This inner yes carries power because it heals division within you. So much of your exhaustion has come from being internally torn. Part of you longing to move forward, part of you clinging to safety. That inner conflict drains strength more than action ever could. When your heart says yes, even softly, something begins to align. Peace does not arrive all at once, but it begins to return because you are no longer fighting yourself. I am not asking you to feel fearless. I am asking you to be honest. Honest about what you desire. Honest about what you are afraid of. Honest about where you sense my leading. Honesty opens the door for clarity. When you stop pretending you are undecided and acknowledge what is stirring within you, the noise begins to quiet. You may worry that saying yes in your heart means you must immediately know every step that follows. But this yes is not a contract filled with details. It is a posture. It is a willingness to follow as I lead, one step at a time. You are not committing to outcomes. You are committing to trust. And trust does not demand full understanding. This is how faith truly begins, not with dramatic action, but with quiet agreement, with the unseen choice to trust me more than your hesitation, with the decision to stop standing at a distance and allow yourself to be guided. That quiet agreement is enough to begin movement, even if it takes time for that movement to become visible. I see the moment when your heart softens toward this invitation. I see when resistance loosens even slightly. That shift matters. Heaven recognizes it. It creates space for direction to become clearer and for strength to rise at the right moment. You are not invisible in this process. Every inner movement is seen. Do not pressure yourself to act before peace has begun its work within you. Once your heart has said yes, the outward step will come naturally. I will not rush you. I will not confuse you. I will guide you. You will recognize the right moment to move because the inner struggle will lessen, and trust will feel steadier than fear. Let this yes be gentle. Let it be sincere. Let it be rooted in trust rather than urgency. You are not late. You are not behind. You are arriving at agreement with what I have been patiently preparing you for. So take this moment now, my beloved child. Breathe deeply. Quiet the arguments in your mind. And if you are able, whisper yes within your heart. Not because everything is clear, but because you trust me enough to begin. I am with you in this unseen step. I honor it. And from this quiet yes, everything else will unfold in its proper time. My beloved child, I want you to hear this truth with gentleness, because it will free you from unnecessary pressure. You do not need to feel strong before you move. Strength is not something you must gather in advance. Strength is something I release as you take the step. I meet you in motion, not in perfection. You have been waiting to feel ready, waiting for confidence to rise, waiting for fear to settle. But readiness is not a feeling, it is a response. If you wait to feel strong, you will wait longer than necessary. If you move with me, strength will rise to meet you at the exact moment you need it. I have always worked this way with you. Think back to the moments when you felt completely unprepared, yet somehow you endured. You said afterward, "I don't know how I got through that." And the answer is simple. You were strengthened while you moved. Grace arrived as you needed it, not before. The same will be true now. I am not asking you to carry tomorrow's weight today. I am not expecting you to solve what lies ahead all at once. I am asking you to take the step that belongs to this moment. As you do, I will give you the strength for this moment, and when the next moment comes, I will give you strength for that too. You may fear that once you begin, you will be expected to maintain momentum on your own. But you are not powering this journey. I am. You are not sustaining yourself through willpower. You are being sustained through relationship. When you grow tired, I do not withdraw, I strengthen you. When you feel unsure, I do not abandon you, I guide you. Do not confuse feeling weak with being incapable. Weakness does not disqualify you. It positions you to rely on me. And reliance is where true strength is formed. Strength that comes from me does not boast. It does not exhaust you. It steadies you. It carries you farther than self-effort ever could. You are not expected to move quickly. You are not expected to be impressive. You are expected to be responsive. Even slow obedience is still obedience. Even small movement ignites my strength. Do not despise gentle steps. They still activate my provision. I know part of you fears starting because you are unsure how you will continue. But continuation is not your responsibility. Staying connected to me is. If you remain with me, strength will keep flowing. You will not run dry because the source is not you. There will be days when you feel strong, and days when you feel fragile. Neither defines your calling. Neither changes my commitment to you. I do not lead you based on how you feel. I lead you based on who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is someone who knows how to rely on me. As you move forward, you will notice something subtle but important. What once felt impossible will feel manageable. What once overwhelmed you will no longer intimidate you the same way. Not because the task has changed, but because you have learned how to draw strength from me instead of yourself. I will strengthen you emotionally when memories resurface. I will strengthen you mentally when doubts try to return. I will strengthen you spiritually when fear whispers lies. You will not have to ask anxiously each time. My strength will be present, quietly supporting you as you walk. So release the pressure to feel ready. Release the expectation that courage must be constant. You are allowed to be human while being guided by me. You are allowed to move forward while still learning. Growth does not require flawlessness. It requires trust. Take the step, my beloved child, not because you feel strong, but because you trust that I am. And as you move, you will discover that strength was never something you had to chase. It was something I was always ready to give, exactly when you needed it. My beloved child, I want you to see beyond the fear of change and glimpse what this step truly leads to. It is not only a shift in circumstances, it is a transformation in who you are becoming. The step before you is not merely about receiving something new. It is about becoming someone new, someone more aligned, more whole, more alive in the truth of who I created you to be. You have been focused on what might happen after you move. You wonder how life will look, how things will change, how you will adjust. But transformation works from the inside outward. Long before circumstances shift, identity begins to settle. As you walk with me, you are not just entering a new situation, you are stepping into a deeper version of yourself. Transformation often feels unfamiliar because it requires release. Old patterns loosen. Old reactions fade. Old ways of thinking lose their grip. This can feel disorienting at first, even uncomfortable. You may wonder why what once felt normal no longer satisfies you. A discomfort is not loss, it is growth. You are shedding what no longer fits so that what truly reflects you can emerge. You are not becoming someone else. You are becoming more yourself. The fear that whispers you will lose your identity is mistaken. What you are losing are layers that were never meant to define you forever, layers formed in survival, fear, or limitation. What remains is truer, lighter, and stronger. As you move forward, you will notice that your responses begin to change. Things that once overwhelmed you will no longer have the same power. Situations that once triggered fear will be met with discernment. You will still feel deeply, but you will no longer be ruled by what you feel. This is not hardness. This is maturity. Transformation does not remove compassion. It refines it. It teaches you how to love without losing yourself, how to care without carrying what does not belong to you. You will find that your boundaries grow clearer, your voice grows steadier, and your trust grows quieter but stronger. Do not be surprised if some people do not recognize you immediately. Growth can be confusing to those who knew you in earlier seasons. You may no longer respond the way you once did. You may no longer tolerate what you once endured. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are learning to live from truth rather than fear. Transformation is not instant. It unfolds as you walk. Each step with me reveals another layer of healing, another measure of freedom, another expression of who you are meant to be. You are not rushing this process, and you are not lagging behind. You are right on time. I know part of you fears the unknown version of yourself. You wonder if you will like who you become, if you will recognize yourself. But the truest version of you is not foreign to me. I know you completely. I know what brings you peace. I know what strengthens you. I know what fulfills you. And I am guiding you toward wholeness, not confusion. Transformation is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aligned. Aligned with truth. Aligned with love. Aligned with purpose. When you are aligned, life flows more naturally. Decisions become clearer. Peace becomes steadier. You stop striving to prove who you are and begin living from who you are. You will still face challenges. Transformation does not remove difficulty. It changes how you walk through it. You will face challenges with greater resilience, deeper trust, and a stronger sense of identity. You will no longer ask, "Can I survive this?" You will ask, "What is this shaping in me?" This step leads you into becoming freer, becoming wiser, becoming more deeply rooted in me. Do not fear the change. I am not taking anything from you that you need. I am revealing what has been forming within you all along. Walk forward, my beloved child. Transformation is not something you must force. It is something that happens naturally as you walk with me. And as it unfolds, you will discover that the person you are becoming is not someone you need to fear. It is someone you were always meant to be. My beloved child, I want you to hear this with clarity and tenderness, because it speaks directly to the doubt that still lingers in you. You are ready, even now. Not because you have mastered everything, not because you feel fearless or certain, but because readiness is not the absence of weakness. Readiness is the presence of willingness. And you have that. You have been telling yourself that you will move when you feel more prepared, more healed, more confident. You keep placing readiness somewhere in the future, as though it is a destination you must reach before you are allowed to begin. But readiness is not something you arrive at later. It is something you recognize now. Look at how much you have already learned. Look at how much you have already endured. Look at how deeply you have grown, even in ways you did not notice while it was happening. You are not standing at the beginning of understanding. You are standing at the threshold of application. What you have lived has prepared you more than you realize. I know you still see your imperfections clearly. You notice the questions you still have, the fears that still surface, the areas where you feel unsure. But these do not disqualify you. They humanize you. They keep you dependent on me instead of relying on yourself. And that dependence is part of your readiness, not a sign against it. You are ready because you have learned how to listen. You are ready because you have learned how to pause instead of react. You are ready because you no longer run from discomfort the way you once did. You are ready because you are honest with me about your weakness instead of hiding it. These are not small things. They are the marks of maturity. Do not wait to feel complete before you move. Completion is not required for obedience. Growth happens in motion. Healing deepens as you walk. Confidence strengthens through experience. If you wait until every doubt disappears, you will wait longer than necessary. I am not asking you to be finished. I am asking you to be faithful. You may feel that others are more equipped, more certain, more capable, but I do not call you based on comparison. I call you based on relationship. I know your heart. I know your pace. I know what you can carry and what you must release. And I would not invite you forward if you were not ready to take the next step. Readiness does not mean you will never stumble. It means you will no longer stop walking when you do. It means you will trust me enough to rise again. It means you will learn as you go instead of demanding perfection from yourself before you begin. I know part of you is waiting for a final confirmation, a last sign that you truly are ready. But listen to me now. Your willingness to keep listening is already that sign. Your openness to trust me again is already that confirmation. The fact that you are still here, still engaged, still considering this step, that is evidence of readiness. You are not rushing. You are responding. There is a difference. Rushing is driven by fear. Responding is guided by trust. You are responding to something that has been growing quietly within you for a long time, and that growth has brought you here. So do not underestimate yourself, my beloved child. Do not speak over yourself words of delay or disqualification. Speak truth instead. You are ready to take the next step, not because you are perfect, but because you are present. Not because you know everything, but because you trust me enough to begin. Stand in this truth. Let it settle into your heart. You do not need to push yourself forward. You only need to stop holding yourself back. I am not asking for more from you. I am asking you to recognize what is already there. You are ready, even now. And as you step forward, you will discover that readiness was never about having all the answers. It was always about trusting the one who walks with you into what comes next. My beloved child, we have walked together through every word, every hesitation, every stirring of your heart. And now we stand at the end of this message, not as a conclusion of your journey, but as a moment of blessing and resolve. You have listened. You have reflected. You have allowed truth to reach places in you that once hid behind fear. That alone tells me how deeply you desire life, peace, and alignment. I want you to know this with certainty. Nothing you have felt during this message was wasted. Every tear that surfaced, every memory that stirred, every quiet yes that formed within you has meaning. You were not merely hearing words. You were responding to an invitation that has been calling you for a long time. You are not standing where you were before. Something has shifted. Even if you cannot explain it yet, your spirit knows it. The resistance has softened. The noise has quieted. The path ahead no longer feels impossible, only sacred. And sacred things are not rushed, but they are honored. You are not required to take a dramatic leap today. You are not pressured to prove anything to anyone. All that was ever asked of you was honesty and trust. And you have given that. The final step you sensed at the beginning of this message is no longer mysterious. It is simply obedience wrapped in love. I bless you with clarity for each step ahead, not all at once, but exactly when you need it. I bless you with peace that steadies you when emotions rise. I bless you with courage that grows as you walk, not before you walk. I bless you with rest, not the rest of avoidance, but the rest of alignment. I release you from fear's authority. It no longer gets to decide your direction. I release you from the weight of comparison. Your path is uniquely yours, and it is honored. I release you from the belief that you must be perfect to be called. You are called because you are mine. As you move forward, remember this. I do not walk ahead of you without you, and I do not send you where I will not remain. Wherever this step leads, my presence will meet you there. You will never take a step beyond my care. If these words have spoken to your heart, bless this message with a like so it can reach others standing where you once stood. Share it with 3 souls who need this encouragement. Subscribe so you can continue receiving these moments of guidance and peace. And help hype this video so it can rise and reach hearts that are ready but afraid to move. Go gently. Go faithfully. Go knowing you are loved, guided, and held. This is not the end. This is the beginning of movement rooted in trust. Amen. My beloved child, as this message settles into your spirit, I now invite you to help carry it beyond this moment. When you give, you are sowing seed into lives that are standing at their final step, waiting for light to reach them. I speak to you now. As you release, I release harvest, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing into your life. This is not an ordinary ask. This is a prophetic response to what I have stirred in you. Do not delay obedience when heaven is opening a door. I bless your giving with peace, increase, and divine return. Give now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and QR code, and let this seed speak life where your voice cannot reach.